thought I was being smart with my money. That's the part that gets you. Not the mistake itself, the confidence before it. The quiet certainty that you have finally diagnosed the problem and you know exactly what to do next. What actually happened over the following 8 months looked less like financial repair and more like pouring a slow, steady stream of gasoline onto a situation that was only smoldering before. Not catastrophic, not ruins, just measurably, specifically, provably worse than when Theo started, in almost every direction that matters. Theo is 33 years old. He has a steady job at a logistics company in Columbus. His salary is around $64,000 before taxes. He carries 2 credit cards, one with a $3,400 balance, one with a $1,900 balance. He has a savings account with $800 in it. His car payment is $347 a month on a vehicle worth less than the remaining loan. His rent is $1,280. He is not in crisis. That's the important thing to understand. He is in what you might call a slow drift. Income comes in, expenses absorb it, and every month ends with roughly the same $600 left over. Not enough to build anything real, just enough to feel like things are fine. They weren't fine. They were stable. Those are different things. Stable means the architecture isn't failing. Fine means the architecture is actually working. Theo's wasn't working. The decision to fix it happens on a Tuesday evening in March. Theo opens a budgeting app he downloaded 6 weeks earlier and never touched. He inputs his income. He inputs his fixed expenses. He inputs his subscriptions, all 11 of them, which surprises him considerably. He inputs his average grocery spend, his average gas spend, his dining habits. The app produces a number. Encouraging, actually. According to the projections, if Theo cuts back on dining and cancels 4 subscriptions, he will free up approximately $390 a month. That $390, directed at the credit cards, would clear both balances in 14 months. 14 months. Clean. Done. He takes a screenshot and feels something close to relief. That feeling is the last clean thing about the next 8 months. The first budget is aggressive. Not because Theo is reckless, because he is motivated, and motivation at this stage looks like restriction. Dining out, 0. Coffee shops, 0. Entertainment, $40 a month. Clothing, 0. He cuts all 4 streaming services in a single evening. He cancels the gym membership he uses 3 times a week because the $52 monthly fee is inefficient. He builds the tightest possible version of a life and then tries to inhabit it. The first 2 weeks work. Week 3 is harder. By week 5, something cracks. Not dramatically. It's a Thursday at work, a rough day, a coworker's birthday dinner that wasn't in the spreadsheet. He goes. He spends $68. He doesn't log it. And the moment he stops logging, the whole system starts losing pressure. The binge that follows a broken budget is quieter than people expect. It doesn't look like chaos. It looks like relief. The weekend after the Thursday dinner, Theo spends $240. Not on anything dramatic. Groceries slightly nicer than the plan allowed. A dinner with a friend he'd been avoiding because restaurants weren't in the budget. A jacket on clearance that wasn't on any clearance rack he'd ever written down. Each purchase has a justification. That's how it works. The justification arrives first and the purchase follows close behind. By the end of the month, Theo has spent $390 more than the budget allowed. The exact amount the budget was supposed to free up. He is back at 0. The credit cards carry 1 additional month of interest. The restriction built the pressure. The pressure found the release. The release erased the margin entirely. So he pivots. The new strategy is debt consolidation. 1 loan, lower rate, single monthly payment, simpler to track. He applies through his bank. Approved at 14.9%. He uses the proceeds to clear both cards completely. $5,300 gone from the cards. 1 monthly payment of $148. He feels, briefly, that he has solved something real. He hasn't solved anything. He has rearranged it. The cards are at 0. The cards are still in his wallet. The minimum payment of $148 is lower than what he was paying before, and the psychological math of that lower payment creates a feeling of room that isn't actually room. Within 6 weeks, Theo has put $1,100 back onto the cards. He now carries $5,300 in loan debt and $1,100 in new card charges at the same time. He is worse off than when he started. Not dramatically. Just worse. That's the part the math makes very clear. In June, Theo gets a raise. His salary moves from $64,000 to $69,500, an additional $5,500 before taxes, roughly $375 extra per month after withholding. He maps it out immediately. The extra $375 going straight to debt would have everything cleared in just over a year. That is the plan. Then the lease on his apartment comes up for renewal. His landlord raises the rent by $120. Theo decides to move rather than pay more for the same place. He finds a 2-bedroom a mile away, renovated kitchen, better closets, The rent is $490, which is $210 more than the old apartment. The raise absorbs the new rent and then some. He also replaces a couch that was technically functional. The trajectory has not changed at all. Income higher, expenses higher, destination the same. This is what people get wrong about earning more. They treat the raise as the solution rather than the material. The solution is what you build with it. A raise is not a permanent rising floor that your whole life floats up to. A raise is inventory. Inventory can be deployed badly. Theo deployed it badly. Not recklessly, not because he doesn't understand money. Because the emotional weight of months of restriction had been looking for somewhere to land. The nicer apartment felt deserved. The couch felt reasonable. Each decision, taken alone, was nearly defensible. The portfolio of decisions was not. This is lifestyle inflation. Not the flashy version, not the new car and the vacation. The quiet version, wearing the costume of practicality. The move because the old landlord was unreasonable. The couch because the old one was worn. Each decision makes local sense. The sum of them does not. The emergency fund is next. This is month 7 of Theo's financial repair project. He knows the foundational move. Before debt payoff, before anything else, is 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a separate account. His monthly expenses run around $2,900. 3 months of cushion is $8,700. He opens a high-yield savings account. He sets up an automatic transfer of $200 a month. At that rate, he reaches 3 months of expenses in 3 years and 7 months. He knows that's slow. He sets the transfer anyway. The first 3 months go smoothly. The account grows. $200, then $400, then $600. Slow and unremarkable. In month 4, his car needs brake pads and a rear rotor. The bill comes to $640. He pulls from the savings account, because that is what the savings account is for. It works exactly as designed. And that is where the logic begins folding in on itself. Here is where it collapses. Theo pulls the $600 and does not increase the monthly transfer to rebuild it faster. The account sits at $40. The $200 automatic transfer continues. Month 5 brings a $280 dental bill his insurance doesn't cover. He pulls from the account again. It effectively empties. The dental bill shifts to the credit card. The credit card that was supposed to be at 0. Month 6, the car again. A slow leak. $180. Credit card. The emergency fund strategy had been correct in principle. It was failing in practice because the cushion was never large enough to survive real life, and real life did not slow down to let it grow. Every time the account reached a number that felt like something arrived that needed exactly that number. And without a buffer large enough to absorb 2 consecutive emergencies, the design worked once and then couldn't reset in time. In month 8, Theo addresses the credit score. His score is sitting at 661. He reads articles. The guidance is consistent. Pay down balances, keep utilization low, don't close old accounts. He follows 2 of those 3. He makes an aggressive payment on the card carrying the highest balance. He transfers money from checking to bring the utilization ratio down. Then he looks at an old store credit card he opened 5 years ago and has never used. The available limit is $600. He's been meaning to close it, so he closes it. His total available credit drops from $9,200 to $8,600. The utilization ratio on his remaining cards rises. Not dramatically, but it rises. His score drops 11 points in the following cycle. He did the right things and the wrong thing in the same week, and the wrong thing won the argument. What Theo doesn't see yet, what takes most people considerably longer to understand, is that none of these individual failures are the actual problem. The budget wasn't a bad idea. Debt consolidation isn't inherently flawed. Building an emergency fund is the correct instinct. Each strategy, considered separately, was reasonable. The problem is the architecture underneath the strategies. The architecture is the relationship between spending and identity. Theo was restricting without understanding, consolidating without changing, saving without enough margin to protect the savings from real life. Every fix he applied addressed the symptom and left the system untouched. A system that isn't changed simply reproduces the same outcomes with slightly different labels. New budget, same spending pattern. New loan, same cards. New savings account, same emergencies draining it flat. You don't fix a broken readout by adjusting what it displays. You fix what's producing it. There is a man at Theo's company named Marcus. Marcus earns $61,000. He carries no credit card debt. He has 4 months of expenses and savings. He drives an 11-year-old Camry and brings lunch to work 4 days out of 5. He is not doing anything Theo hasn't heard of. He is not using a strategy Theo hasn't already encountered somewhere. The difference between them is not information. Both of them have access to the same articles, the same apps, the same frameworks. The difference is that Marcus made one quiet decision 8 years ago and hasn't reconsidered it since. He decided that his spending would not grow proportionally with his income. That was the whole thing. No elaborate system, no philosophy, just a line he drew and is kept. His saving rate is 19%. Theo's is 4%. Over 20 years, the compound distance between those two numbers becomes something that almost no late catch-up strategy can fully close. Call it the optimization trap. It works like this. You identify the problem, you research solutions, you implement one. The solution requires sustained discipline. Discipline is hard to hold under pressure. Pressure arrives, as it always does, on a Thursday evening when you didn't plan for it. The discipline breaks. The solution fails. You conclude the solution was wrong and search for a better one. What you don't question is whether discipline-dependent solutions can work consistently for anyone in real conditions over real time. They generally can't, not because people lack resolve, because life is continuous and rigid budgets are static, and the gap between those two things is exactly where every well-intentioned plan eventually breaks. The solutions that hold over time are not discipline-dependent. They are structural, automatic transfers that move money before you see it, payment schedules that don't require a fresh decision every month, spending categories wide enough to absorb a Thursday dinner without cracking the whole system open. Structure, not willpower. That distinction is the thing. Run the numbers on Theo's 8 months. He started with $5,300 in credit card debt. He consolidated it. He accrued $1,380 in new card charges across the following months. He paid $1,184 in loan payments. Of that, $742 went to principal. $442 went to interest. He now carries $4,558 in loan debt and $1,380 in card charges. Total outstanding, $5,938. He started at $5,300. He is further in debt than the day he opened the budgeting app. His savings account holds $240. His credit score is 661. Identical to where it began. 8 months. Consistent effort. Genuine intention. The result is worse by every measurable metric. That's the part that doesn't get discussed with enough honesty. Not the dramatic failures. The quiet, sustained trying. And the way trying without structural change can cost you both time and money at once, leaving you behind where quiet inaction would have placed you. Here's what the 8 months actually taught Theo, though it took longer to see than to live through. The problem was never the budget. Budgets are tools. Tools are neutral. The problem was applying tools to symptoms without identifying the root. His spending wasn't chaotic. It was patterned. Every overspend mapped to a specific emotional state. Restriction led to deprivation. Deprivation led to release. Release looked like spending. That loop ran on its own schedule, whether Theo had a spreadsheet open or not. The spreadsheet didn't interrupt the loop. It gave him something to feel guilty examining afterward. The structural fix was quieter and less satisfying to implement. It looked like a slightly wider dining budget, so the Thursday dinner didn't register as a violation of anything. It looked like keeping the gym membership instead of cutting it, because removing the outlet made everything downstream worse, less impressive, but it held. What actually changed things wasn't a new strategy. It was a smaller, less dramatic adjustment. Theo automated $350 into savings the same day his paycheck landed. Not $200, $350. Before rent, before groceries, before any decision he might make later. He set the credit card payment to $180 above the minimum on autopilot. He didn't close any more accounts. He didn't open any new ones. He didn't create new spending categories or download anything additional. The budget stopped being a document he was supposed to perform compliance with. The structural transfers did the work the spreadsheet had been demanding from his willpower. 3 months in, the savings account had $1,050. 6 months in, the card balance was down $1,080. Not dramatic. Not the kind of number that changes how you feel on a Tuesday. Just moving. The thing about getting your finances wrong before getting them right is that the wrong part teaches something the right part can't. You learn where the pressure originates. You learn which categories carry emotional weight for you specifically, not for a generic template, but for the particular shape of your particular life. Theo's pressure point was social spending. The dinners, the events, the cost of simply showing up when people you like are doing something. His budget had that category set at 0. 0 is not a realistic number for a person with friendships and colleagues and a life that happens partly in restaurants on Thursday evenings. 0 punishes you for being a human being embedded in a human world. $60 a week budgeted honestly is survivable and sustainable. 0 that collapses into $240 of guilt spending every few weeks is neither. The budget that accounts for how you actually live beats any stricter budget that doesn't, every time, without exception. Theo's credit score sits at 694 now. His card balance is just under $3,000. His savings account has $2,100 in it. He isn't fixed. He is moving. There is a difference. Fixed implies a destination reached. Moving implies a direction held. The loan has 22 months of payments remaining. The emergency fund is roughly 30% of where it needs to be. But the transfers run automatically. And the debt number drops every single month by an amount that doesn't require him to decide anything on a hard Thursday evening when work was difficult and dinner somewhere sounded necessary. The architecture is quieter now. Not finished, not spectacular, just quieter. And that is the part that holds, not the moments of high motivation and ambitious spreadsheets and screenshots taken with something close to relief. The part that holds is the part that doesn't need you to feel it to keep going.